Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM. Brought to you proudly by Sportsman's Warehouse, the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, and Avery Superstore.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back as we close out today's show. I made the mistake one time of saying as we close out the show, and somebody thought we were quitting. Well, I'm trying to hang on for at least 20 years, and so I'm working on number 19 now, and if everything goes right, and this being the final segment, I appreciate John Gordon of DU sitting in with me as he does on the second Saturday of each month. Wong is long. Wong is gone, but Ron Wong was with us, but he's down in Monroe, Louisiana at the American Crappie Trail tournament this weekend, and he needed to slip on out and keep up that. But I know, John, that you're pretty familiar with Mossy Oak from Ducks Unlimited. You were just mentioning what about the connection there?
Well, this is how I produce DUTV. Moose Media, the Mossy Oak production company, is who we use for that. So I was just in West Point about 3 weeks ago to meet with those guys, and it's been a partnership. I guess they've been doing DUTV now this will be year number 6.
Really? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you found West Point okay. You got
I know
there.
where it is,
okay.
Being a Starkville kind of guy.
I knew he was coming up with that. Yeah.
Been in West Point many times.
This other guy lives south of Tuscaloosa. I don't know, what that means to him. But,
Tuscaloosa, I'm not sure where that is.
Well,
I'm not sure.
You're not sure what school?
No, I'm not sure what school there is.
I bet this
either,
guy does. Hey, we got David Holley on with us. He is the Director of New Business for Mossy Oak Properties. And we're going to talk to David here because September the 28th is kind of a special day for Mossy Oak Properties. It's National Day of Conservation. So we wanted to get David hooked up with us. Good morning, David.
Hey, how are you, Larry, John?
Hey, we're doing
good.
Great. And we talked to David a little bit off the air, and I know David and the connection here, Mossy Oak Properties, 2003 was launched, has grown to over 100 franchise brokerages in 28 states, and I think David said Alaska is one of those states, right, David?
Yeah, yes, sir. We got 3 brokerages in Alaska, stretching all the way to coastal Georgia. So we're coast to coast. Network
3,200 transactions totaling $700 million in sales volume for 2018. Talk about Mossy Oak Properties, David. How long have you been in this position?
Well, I've been with Mossy Oak Properties. Well, I've been with Mossy Oak, I say, since birth.
I thought you had. Yeah.
The Hayes family has been, they're family to me. And so
they are.
As I say, I was born in Bottomland, but I started officially with Mossy Oak Properties in 2008 and kind of spearheaded starting then franchise growth efforts. And have evolved since then. But we've certainly been proud of where we, have come from. Obviously, like anything, the relationships you make along the way and the people that you impact have a lot to do with it. But we're just a group of folks that love the outdoors and land and love connecting other people with that that same joy. And obviously, the Day of Conservation, kind of stem from that because we know that without, conservation and the land that, comes along with it, you don't have a need for camo or guns and bows. And obviously John understands that well at DU, and we walk lockstep with our conservation partners, including Ducks Unlimited.
Well, I know that when you look back on this and when they first kicked this effort off, and I tell you, I've been in some remote areas, and I'll drive by and I'll see a Mossy Oak Property sign, 56 Arkansas. I was squirrel hunting over there one time, and I go by, it's right there. In the middle of nowhere. And yet you guys have been able to find these things and the transactions and things along that line, and leads us all now to the National Day of Conservation. Talk about that, David.
Yes, sir. Well, that kind of came about. We were wanting to do something to give. I guess as you evolve as a company, of course, Mossy Oak has been, a conservation partner for the outdoor community for years and years.
Yes.
Properties, we wanted to do something to basically put conservation into action. We're obviously, huge advocates of being members of conservation organizations, but we want to take things even a step further and galvanize our network across the country and galvanize and mobilize them into kind of one day to take on an initiative, to be creative in their own communities and give back. And so that's kind of how the National Day of Conservation stemmed. And so, it's been really amazing to not only see the response from our network of brokers around the country and kind of the creative things they're doing in their community, but also to see some of our, family and friends, as we call them, that have stepped up to the plate. I got an email today with a video from Jeff Foxworthy, accepting the challenge and saying what he was going to be doing on that day. And then, Governor Phil Bryant in Mississippi did a proclamation that'll be going out on September the 28th and has done a video, and Uncle Ted Nugent's done a video. And so it's been amazing to see how an effort that we had, I guess, modest expectations in year one of it just being kind of our core group, that people have really become energized by this idea. And it's about putting conservation into action, physically getting out there on the land, picking up trash, planting trees.
Okay.
Getting kids involved.
And that's what you're talking about on this day from your property agents across the United States and wherever they might be, that they will be doing something to help conservation. I mean, they'll in their area, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've heard some folks are going to be doing trash rodeos or trash fishing rodeos where local bass clubs that they partner with will be actually weighing in trash that they collect from lakes down in Mississippi down in Louisiana. And so it's been really neat to see the creative ideas coming in from across our 28 state network.
That's pretty amazing. And I know that the property situation here, as you were mentioning about with all your different franchises and transactions, conservation, and I can remember this from that very first story that I met and I wrote about Toxie and Bill and Cuz and all of them sat around when they were just breaking ground. I think I wrote one of the first stories. They got it on the wall someplace, maybe in the bathroom down there. I don't know. But conservation is part of this. And I talking to John here, I mean, what a perfect hookup. DU and Mossy Oak. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, the thing that's so, I guess, fulfilling about conservation with respect to our company is this is something that as a company, and I guess as you say, as a family, that we've been doing for a long, long time, even before the birth of Mossy Oak. I mean, there's an authenticity there that I think consumers identify with, and it kind of galvanizes them. I mean, the turkey population in Northeast Mississippi has Uncle Fox to thank, because back in the 70s he was doing restocking efforts.
That's right.
Around West Point.
So,
But it's just I got a quick story that kind of brings, I guess, everything to home for me. And my wife and I just had our first child, and
congratulations.
So that adds a whole. He's now a fifth generation landowner, and on our farm. But in the infant CPR class they make you take, they basically say if there's an emergency, you point out to someone and you tell them to call 911 instead of just yelling out and hoping that someone does it. And with regards to conservation, I think that's something that, we all as hunters and conservationists and landowners, anyone that loves the outdoors, has a responsibility that it's not solely on organizations like Ducks Unlimited or even wildlife agencies to carry the torch. We can all, in our own way, in our own backyard, in our own communities, do things that help to, conserve the land we love and pass on the hunting heritage. And obviously, we live in challenging times for all those things.
Amen.
And it really is up to everyone. So, if you're listening to this, understand it's on you as a hunter conservationist and someone that loves the outdoors to do your part.
Hey, we're talking to David Holley. He is the Director of New Business for Mossy Oak Properties. And I think, and John, you'll agree with this, Mossy Oak, you don't just think of Mossy Oak as camo anymore. You think of Mossy Oak as in so many different areas, like with you guys, with DU and Mossy Oak, relationships, family, And I think when DU has one of those famous parties that they know how to throw, it's almost a family gathering.
Oh, yeah, it is very much. And it's talking about Mossy Oak and Ducks Unlimited and the partnership. I encourage everyone to catch next week's episode of DUTV. It's a hunt that took place last January with Toxie and Bill and former CEO Dale Hall.
Yes.
At Toxie's place in West Point, and it really gives you a very good idea of the commitment the Hayes family has to conservation, and Toxie talking about the fact that hunting ducks is fun, but taking care of ducks is a lot more fun.
And that will be on when?
That'll be on. Let's see, on the Pursuit Channel. The primetime showing in this part of the world is at 5:30 on Wednesday evening, 6:30 Eastern.
All right.
It'll first air at midnight on Monday. So
I won't be up then. I don't know. David may be up. He's got a newborn baby. He'll probably be up.
There's no excuse not to see it, because I'll have it up at ducks.org, www.ducks.org/DUTV, and it'll be also on YouTube on our YouTube channel.
And you can go to mossyoakproperties.com. Find out all this information that David has talked about with us this morning. David, thank you, buddy, for taking time to be with us. Tell everybody hello. Tell them Larry Ray is still vertical, okay?
Absolutely. We challenge everyone to take part in the Mossy Oak Properties National Day of Conservation on Saturday, September 28th.
We will, David. Thank you, buddy. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Have a good one. All right, David Holley.
Yes, sir.
Let me close out today's show. We will be back next week. I'm not sure who's going to be here. I'll be here, Lord willing, and so is our good friend Frank Barton, and we're going to have a surprise guest. I'm going to tell you about just you won't want to miss it, because it's one of the nation's leading retrievers. I don't want to give it away, because he's got a dog that's pretty famous. And we're going to talk about it next week, because it's not your typical retriever. And he's getting ready to go to the National Masters Retrievers, and he's got over 1,000 dogs this year. And that's Frank's job to keep track of all those. I think it's 1,038.
Yeah, the Master National is really morphed into a massive event.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And the fall grand hunt test for HRC is taking place this week. So they just were wrapping up today.
Okay. A lot of things going on. Thank you, John, for being with us. Thank you for Shelby McCall, keeping us rolling. This is Larry Ray. Remind you, do each and every week. It doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good sport. And God bless the USA.